The confirmation landed like a bombshell in the NBA news cycle. Shams Charania officially announced that Al Horford will wear the Golden State Warriors jersey. For weeks, this possibility seemed like nothing more than a backstage rumor, speculation fueled by insiders and hopeful fans. Many doubted the legitimacy of the deal, especially because Horford, an 18-season veteran and five-time All-Star, had seriously considered retirement. But now there is no room for doubt. The Dominican is ready to add his experience to a roster that already boasts one of the league's most iconic combinations, with Stephen Curry and Draymond Green as leaders. The great irony of this whole process is that, despite Horford's impressive resume, the signing of his contract temporarily hinged on the decision regarding the extension of 22-year-old Jonathan Kuminga. This lays bare how Golden State is under pressure from the NBA's new collective bargaining agreement, where every cent overspent beyond the salary cap can cost millions in penalties and, even worse, severely restrict roster-building flexibility. Dub Nation, therefore, is living a tense moment. They want to secure their future by investing in Kuminga, but at the same time cannot let slip a piece that could instantly turn the team into a title contender. From a basketball perspective, Horford's arrival is nearly perfect. He is no longer the physical center who shone with the Atlanta Hawks early in his career. Over the years, he has reshaped himself into an intelligent player, able to space the floor with three-point accuracy, orchestrate plays from the top of the key, and still anchor the defense with discipline. In 2 of the past 3 seasons, he shot over 41% from deep, an impressive figure for any power forward, let alone someone well past 35. Warriors coach Steve Kerr now gains a rare kind of versatility. Horford can start some games, but he can also anchor the second unit, opening room for lineups with 5 shooters without sacrificing defense. This gives Kerr the ability to alternate between the traditional small ball that defined the team and more balanced lineups with rebounding and physical presence. More than that, Horford acts as a strategic hub. He reads the game, keeps the ball moving, dictates the rhythm. This was precisely the missing piece when Curry went down injured in last season's playoffs, leaving the team exposed against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that is exactly where the greatest promise of this signing lies. Many analysts believe that if Curry had not suffered that hamstring injury, the Warriors would have beaten the Timberwolves and advanced with a real chance of fighting for the championship. Now, with Horford available, the team adds a high-level insurance policy, someone who can ease the creative burden and hold things together in decisive moments. He does not arrive to be the protagonist, but to amplify the established stars and plug tactical gaps. Interestingly, despite the excitement of fans, this was no straightforward negotiation. Horford wavered between playing on or retiring. At the same time, other free agents, such as DeAnthony Melton, Seth Curry, and Gary Payton II, were also waiting for Kuminga's future to be decided before making their own choices. In the end, Horford decided to move forward and verbally agreed to a multi-year commitment with the Warriors. Still, the formal signing depends on resolving the 22-year-old's contract. It is an unusual situation, a decorated veteran waiting in line behind the financial priority of a developing young player. This reversal of roles illustrates how the new CBA has changed the league's dynamics. In the past, established veterans dictated the terms and youngsters had to adapt. Today, teams are forced to balance investing in youth with honoring veteran contributions, since heavy contracts can block any further moves. Golden State, long accustomed to spending freely to maintain its dynasty, must now navigate the harsh consequences of the second apron, which punishes franchises that overshoot the cap. But from a locker room standpoint, the news is spectacular. Imagine the weight of having Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Al Horford as leaders in the same space. That is a trio that breathes high-level basketball, with years of playoffs, finals, and diverse experiences that only strengthen the franchise's culture. Young players like Kuminga and Trace Jackson-Davis will have the chance to learn directly from veterans who know exactly what it takes to win. This blend of experience and youth may be the Warriors' greatest asset to remain competitive. Another crucial but less discussed aspect is Horford's reputation off the court. He has always been seen as an exemplary professional, meticulous in every detail, and capable of positively influencing any locker room. In Boston, his presence was key to keeping the group stable during turbulent moments. In Atlanta, he was the reference point of a team that rose to prominence and earned respect in the conference. Now, in San Francisco, he arrives as that quiet reinforcement who does not seek the spotlight but raises the competitive level of everyone around him. For fans, the anxiety revolves around two main points: the technical fit and the financial issue. On the first, there is near unanimity that Horford brings exactly what was missing: spacing, intelligence, and leadership. On the second, the fear is that Kuminga's expensive extension could sacrifice the flexibility needed to offer Horford a stronger deal. It is a complicated chess game, where any wrong move could compromise both present and future. This is where the Warriors' front office must be surgical. If they manage to retain Kuminga without overloading the payroll, Horford will be able to sign a solid deal, giving Steve Kerr more security in building rotations. Otherwise, the risk of losing the veteran to another contender still exists, even though Shams insisted the commitment is official. In any case, the mere prospect of seeing Horford on the court alongside Curry already makes Dub Nation dream big. The symbolic weight of this move cannot be ignored. A player who had been flirting with retirement decides to take one last shot alongside one of the most legendary teams of the modern NBA era. It is as if Horford were declaring that he still has fuel left to fight for a title, and that he believes Golden State still has the strength to lift another trophy. This alignment of goals may be the fuel needed to reignite the franchise's competitive flame. The impact will be immediate. When the ball goes up next season, Horford will bring not just statistics, but an aura of confidence. For opponents, facing the Warriors will become even more daunting. How do you defend a team that can put 5 shooters on the floor without sacrificing defense? How do you exploit gaps when such intelligent players take turns running the game? These are questions that will surely trouble rival coaches, and that is precisely Golden State's intention in betting on the Dominican. If the technical and symbolic impact was already enough to justify the fans' excitement, there is still a third element that makes this signing even more relevant: the psychological factor. The Golden State Warriors, after years at the top, experienced a last season marked by highs and lows, with injuries, rotation instability, and questions about how far the dynasty could still go. The arrival of Al Horford is not just an on-court reinforcement, but also a clear message that the franchise still believes in the present, that it is not willing to give up on fighting for the biggest goals. This injection of energy can transform the internal atmosphere and reignite the flame of competitiveness in the locker room. For Horford, this is a worthy final chapter. After almost 2 decades in the league, he chooses to close his journey, or at least approach its conclusion, in a franchise that does not settle for little. He could have opted for a rebuilding team, where he would be guaranteed minutes and perhaps a statistically prominent role, but he preferred the pressure of competing alongside established names, under the spotlight, facing the expectation of battling for the toughest trophy in the sport. This decision speaks volumes about his mentality and how much he still wants to prove on the court. From a tactical standpoint, Horford's adaptation should be immediate. He does not demand high offensive volume, he does not monopolize plays, and he knows how to fit into collective systems. This is crucial in a scheme like Steve Kerr's, built on constant movement, quick reading of the game, and selflessness. The transition, therefore, tends to be smooth, unlike what happens when stars used to centralizing the ball must learn to share space. Horford arrives to add, not to change, the team's DNA. One of the Dominican's greatest virtues is his defensive versatility. Although he no longer has the same physical explosiveness of his early years, he makes up for it with impeccable positioning, clear communication, and the ability to lead the defensive line. In a Western Conference full of young forwards and athletic centers, the presence of someone with such game awareness can be decisive in long playoff series. He knows when to provide coverage, how to push opponents into uncomfortable zones, and, above all, how to avoid unnecessary fouls that so often compromise less experienced players. Moreover, his ability to space the floor gives the Warriors a new layer of unpredictability. Imagine a lineup where Curry drags the defense to the perimeter. Draymond orchestrates from the top of the key, and Horford positions himself in the corner, ready to punish any slip. The opposing defense will be forced to choose. Give space for the shot or risk collapse against the Californians' relentless movement. It is a tactical dilemma few rivals will be able to solve efficiently. The mentoring role should also not be underestimated. Kuminga, who is at the center of this entire financial equation, can benefit enormously from being around a veteran like Horford. The youngster has more than enough athletic talent, but still lacks consistency in reading the game and defensive discipline. Training and competing daily alongside someone who masters those aspects could exponentially accelerate his development. And almost ironically, Kuminga's growth may be exactly what allows the Warriors to justify the high values they intend to invest in his extension. This scenario creates a feedback cycle. Horford arrives to help immediately, while his presence directly influences the growth of the youngsters. That growth, in turn, sustains the franchise's future, ensuring that when Curry and Draymond finish their careers, there will be a solid base to keep competitiveness alive. The management, therefore, is right in thinking about the now, without losing sight of the tomorrow. Of course, the financial risk remains the most delicate piece of the puzzle. Horford's contract, although verbally agreed, will only become official if the final numbers with Kuminga fit into the spreadsheet. Fans and analysts fear that, in trying not to lose the youngster, the team might tie up the budget too much and limit its flexibility in future moves. Even so, the feeling is that management understands the importance of balancing both sides of the scale. What is most curious is how this situation mirrors Golden State's very philosophy in recent years. It is a franchise that has always sought to innovate, whether in the way it plays or in the way it builds its roster. The famous small ball revolutionized the NBA. Now, the challenge is also to win in the spreadsheet game, where rules and harsh penalties can decide as much as a three-pointer in the dying seconds. And, so far, management shows willingness to face this battle with courage. If Horford really puts on the Warriors jersey next season, it will be inevitable to imagine what could happen in a series against direct rivals such as the Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, or even the Los Angeles Lakers. In all those scenarios, the Dominican's experience becomes a trump card. Against Jokic, for example, his defensive intelligence could be more valuable than any physical attribute. Against Minnesota's young athletic forwards, his tactical reading offsets potential speed differences. It is as if the Warriors had found a piece that, even if not perfect, helps correct several vulnerabilities at the same time. And here it is worth stressing one point. Horford's impact will not be measured only in statistics. There will be nights when he scores few points, grabs some rebounds, and dishes out modest assists. But the real contribution will be in the invisible details, in the defensive rotations that prevent easy baskets, in the passes that anticipate the play, in the calmness he transmits in moments of pressure. These are aspects that do not appear in the box score, but that define championships. Warriors fans, therefore, have every reason to be excited. Even though the official signing depends on bureaucratic adjustments, the mere confirmation of the verbal agreement has already reignited Dub Nation's enthusiasm. This is not a flashy reinforcement, full of striking numbers or bombastic headlines. It is a piece that, fitted precisely, can change the course of an entire season. And in the end, that is what basketball is about: fit, balance, moments. Horford chose Golden State because he believes this is the right place to live his last great chapters. The team chose him because they know that, even at 38, he can still decide games and, perhaps, series. It is a mutual bet, a pact that blends trust, experience, and ambition. The signing of Horford also opens space for reflections on how the NBA has evolved in recent years and how the Warriors in particular have adapted to these transformations. When the Dominican began his career, centers were still seen primarily as paint anchors, players who lived close to the basket, reliant on their physique and dominance in rebounding. Today, the game is completely different. Mobility, spacing, and court vision are mandatory requirements, and Horford managed to reinvent himself, turning his limitations into strengths. This makes him not only useful, but almost perfect for the model Golden State developed. And there is something almost poetic about this late encounter. For many years, the Warriors and Horford were on parallel paths, crossing only in regular season games or occasional playoff matchups. Now, at a stage in his career when many veterans retire or become marginal pieces, he finds an opportunity to be part of a roster that can, in fact, crown his journey with a title. It is not just a contract. It is the chance to immortalize his name in a legendary franchise. For the fans, this is a powerful narrative. Seeing a player who could have retired in June choose to fight a little longer, accepting a specific role for the good of the collective, stirs the emotions of those who follow the sport. It is proof that even in an environment increasingly ruled by astronomical figures, there is still room for human stories of perseverance and dedication. On a practical level, Horford will still have to adapt to Coach Steve Kerr's rotation, which is known for being anything but simple. The system demands impeccable fitness, discipline in constant movement, and the ability to make quick decisions. But if there is anyone prepared for this, it is precisely the Dominican. His entire career has been built on game intelligence. Even at an advanced age, he maintains a respectable level of physical conditioning and a tactical understanding that few can match. It is worth imagining, for example, how an alternative lineup with Curry, Seth Curry, Draymond Green, Horford, and Trayce Jackson-Davis would look. This configuration blends shooting, defense, youth, and experience. With Horford at the top of the key, Curry would gain even more freedom to move off the ball, receiving screens and exploiting spaces. Seth Curry, in turn, would stretch the opposing defense even further, creating a domino effect where there would always be someone free to finish. The opposing defense would be forced to stretch to the limit, vulnerable to cuts and drives. Another possible scenario is using Horford in rotations with greater defensive impact, especially against opponents with dominant forwards. Alongside Draymond, he would form a front line capable of switching assignments, protecting the rim, and still contesting perimeter shots. This kind of versatility is gold in the playoffs, where tactical adjustments from game to game decide entire series. One cannot ignore the emotional factor Horford will bring in decisive series either. The calm of someone who has seen it all in the NBA will be an antidote to the anxiety that often brings down young teams. When the pressure rises, when the lights shine brighter, he will be the one who organizes, who calms, who shows the way. This is something that has no price and cannot be measured in numbers. It is also interesting to note how his arrival impacts the narrative around Jonathan Kuminga. The youngster, who previously seemed just another rotation piece, now finds himself at a crossroads. His renewal is crucial to the franchise's plans, but at the same time, he can learn more than ever under Horford's guidance. It is almost as if the Dominican was chosen not only for what he can deliver on court, but also for what he can pass on off it. If Kuminga absorbs even a fraction of what Horford represents, the Warriors will have planted valuable seeds for the future. From the league's point of view, this move also makes waves. The West, already extremely competitive, gains a new variable. Teams like the Nuggets, Timberwolves, Suns, and Mavericks will now have to deal with an even more complete Warriors side. Every detail can be the difference between glory and an early exit, and Horford may be exactly that detail. It is not about saying he will be the star of the team, but recognizing that his skill set fills gaps that previously came at a heavy cost. It is inevitable to draw comparisons with other veterans who changed the fate of franchises in the later stages of their careers. Think of cases like Andre Iguodala with the Warriors themselves, or even P.J. Tucker on teams seeking defensive solidity. Horford may follow that script, being the player who perhaps does not shine in the spotlight, but makes the difference when it matters most. It is a role that demands humility and awareness, and he has shown an abundance of both. To outsiders, it may seem like just another signing, But for those watching closely, it is clear we are witnessing a move that could redefine the season. Golden State did not just bring in a veteran center. They brought leadership, intelligence, balance. They brought a piece of the experience that was missing to turn good intentions into tangible results. The coming season will therefore be a test for Kerr, who will have to orchestrate a rotation filled with valuable pieces. A test for Kuminga, who will need to show progress worthy of the trust and investment. A test for Horford, who will have to prove he still has fuel to compete at the highest level. And, above all, a test for the Warriors as a franchise, who must show they can maintain their dynasty aura even amid financial limitations and the changes imposed by the league. In the end, this story is about choices. Horford chose not to retire. The Warriors chose to bet on a veteran who fits their DNA. Kuminga will be chosen as a symbol of the future, and the fans, as always, will choose to believe that this set of decisions will lead to another title run. Whether it will succeed or not, only the orange ball can answer. But so far, the feeling is that Golden State has armed itself in the best way possible to face the challenges ahead. Kai returned to the court with an impressive performance, reaffirming his status as one of the most promising talents in Asian basketball. In a recent game against Kyoto, he delivered a spectacular performance, scoring 20 points, grabbing 4 rebounds, and dishing out 3 assists. These numbers not only stand out in the stats, but also showcase the constant evolution of a player who becomes more complete with each game. From the first minute, it was clear he was ready to shine. Combining height, agility, and technical skills, he dominated the paint, leaving opposing defenders without answers. His mid-range shots were sharp, a reflection of the continuous effort he dedicates to improving his game. Moreover, his court vision became evident in decisive moments, distributing assists and connecting his teammates in important plays. When the game reached its most tense moments, Kai took responsibility, showing leadership and composure. In the third quarter, he made a memorable play by dribbling past 2 defenders, converting a crucial basket, and hitting the free throw after being fouled. Plays like this not only excite the crowd, but also highlight his ability to perform under pressure, a key trait for any player with ambitions of reaching the NBA. His fans have plenty of reasons to be excited. Kai is about to hit historic milestones in the B-League. With just 76 points remaining to reach 1,000 career points, he is approaching a select group of players known for their offensive consistency. Additionally, he has already surpassed 500 rebounds, establishing himself as a dominant presence in the paint on both offense and defense. He not only protects the painted area with authority, but also creates crucial second-chance opportunities for his team. Another important achievement is nearing. He is just 4 assists away from reaching 100 assists in the league. This reinforces his ability to create opportunities and involve his teammates in strategic plays. These numbers directly reflect the impact Kai brings to the court. His combination of imposing physicality, technical ability, and tactical intelligence makes him one of the most complete players in the league. Every point, rebound, and assist brings him closer not only to records but also to the dream of playing in the NBA. His performance has caught the attention of analysts and commentators who already consider him a player capable of raising the competitive level of the B-League. Comparisons with great past big men are starting to emerge, highlighting his potential to leave a legacy in international basketball. But for Kai, more than statistics or records, the important thing is to keep evolving and making his mark in every game. Kai Sotto's future has been one of the most debated topics among fans and experts, and one of the most mentioned destinations for him in the NBA is the Golden State Warriors. The franchise's fans have already started a campaign on social media asking for his signing, believing he could be the missing piece to strengthen the team. The Warriors are known for their fast and dynamic style of play, with an emphasis on long-distance shooting and constant movement. However, one of the team's weak points has been the lack of a dominant presence in the paint, someone who can protect the defensive area, grab rebounds, and bring balance to the team. Kai fits exactly that profile. His impressive height and game-reading ability are characteristics that could transform the Warriors' performance. Moreover, his international experience, facing different styles of basketball around the world, makes him an interesting prospect for a franchise looking to refresh its roster without sacrificing competitiveness. For the Warriors, signing Kai would represent a low-risk, high-potential move. He has already demonstrated his ability to contribute both defensively and offensively, being an efficient finisher near the basket and constantly improving his mid-range shot. Combining this with his competitive mindset and dedication to improvement, he would fit well into the team's system. The fans are excited about this possibility, knowing that players with Kai's skill set and potential are rare. For many, he could be exactly what the team needs to get back to competing for the top spot in the NBA. If you like the content, leave a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything about the Warriors. Thanks, and see you in the next video.